And that includes Susan. Oh, we started. Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and we have gathered here once again. And tonight we're going back to 1948. Yes, the year Lee was in his teens. 1948. Yes, and you, Beef Dad. We are going to be talking about Brighton Rock with the great.
I was born.
The year you were born. You don't say that. Let's go to Susan and Alex, since they're unmuted.
Okay, Brighton Rock was a cool gangster story about a bunch of people in Brighton, which was the seedy underbelly of a beautiful beach town, and it had gangsters and guns and girls, and it was a pretty dangerous place. And the movie was really it was sort of like The Godfather, but in the fact that there was a Corleone in the movie. So it was really of the same. Anyway, so that happened, and it was an interesting and wonderful story. And here's Alex.
Well, I like the cast. I can't say that I like the music or the plot or anything like that. It's a little bit before my time, even though it does have a great cast. I'd rather be watching other 70s, 80s things. And of course, I did like the movies that Bob Hoskins was in. So yeah, it's okay. It does have a great cast, and the dialogue was good, but I just didn't like the plot or the music. I thought the music was very loud. I've watched a lot of gangster movies. It's not bad, but I'd rather be watching Scorsese or, like I said, the British 70s and 80s gangsters movies than this one.
Out of everything, what stuck out to me the most with this film, which really dates it, is the smoking on the pier. Because you can't smoke, you haven't been able to smoke on Brighton Pier for a very long time. Let's go to Stephen Price, even though Lee's unmuted himself.
Right.
I'm keeping an eye on you all, you know.
It was not the movie I expected. William Hartnell was great in it. He's been in a far better movie called Hell Drivers. Anybody remember that? No? Okay then.
Sorry about that. We disappointed you.
It started off okay. I thought, it's just going to be a good movie, but it went downhill then with, him with the woman and all this and that. There are a few good scenes in it. When the singing came on, I lowered the volume. I can't hate singing in these old films. That's all I got to say. I'll tell you my favourite moments later.
We got to do a musical soon. Lee. Sort out a musical, Lee. Yes, Lee. Your turn.
Sorry,
yes.
Sorry, muted it. To quote Empire, one of the finest examples of British cinema ever to grace the screen. That's what Empire wrote about the movie. For me, it is a very good movie. There is performances by William Hartnell is just brilliant. The performance from Richard Attenborough is just, you can see why he was one of the top actors of his day. And playing Pinkie. his screen presence all the way through. I don't know if anybody noticed, but he never blinked once. In that role, Pinkie never blinks his eyes all the way through that film. He was just staring all the time. Sometimes it was subtle, sometimes it was, he was threatening, and that is a brilliant performance. So pairing with William Hartnell, I mean, because everybody knows William Hartnell as the grandfather of Doctor Who. This is what William Hartnell did before TV got of him, and he was brilliant in these sort of roles, was William Hartnell. And the supporting cast as well, brilliant. The ending, the love you, I love you, the stuck record. I wonder if she ever listened to the full record at the end. But the message what Pinkie left on that record. She was a naive girl. It is a very, when you dissect this movie, it is a very good movie. The remake of 5 or 6 years ago, John Haidt was in it, but I always go with the originals. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll say about my favourite bits later on. Back to
you leave your bits to later on, your favourite bits. You leave them well alone. I've actually seen both versions. I've actually seen the remake and this version before. The remake, well, let's just say this is definitely better than the remake. William Hartnell is great, but then it's William Hartnell, and maybe I'm a bit biased because I love him as Doctor Who, but he's a great actor anyway. Richard Attenborough, just amazing as Pinkie, just throughout the whole film, just really, it's just an amazing actor and really holds it together, really. Just the best performance in the film. And there's some great direction as well. Like, I like the scene where they're in the haunted house on Brighton Pier. That's a very good scene. And it's quite creepy as well. And I think with it being black and white, and I know I keep going on about this in a lot of the films, the black and white films that we do, is that it adds so much atmosphere. It adds so much more depth, and it makes it more mysterious and stuff like that. And it really benefits from being in black and white. And there's other quite good directions in this film as well. Like when he pushes the guy off the balcony, where he crashes the guy, and you can see his reflection on the window on the roof above. So you got Pinkie on the stairs, on the balcony, and then you can see the guy lying on the floor. I thought that was quite good. The way they directed that bit was very good. So yeah, it's a good film. Yeah. Let's go to everybody else's favourite moments. Let's go to Lee, because he keeps on poking around at something.
Hold on. You've missed out Beef Dad.
Oh, I missed. Sorry, Beef Dad. Let's go to Beef Dad. I can't remember.
Oh, thank heavens for that. Suddenly I thought I'd become invisible. Yeah. You got to remember, the novel was written by Graham Greene. Brilliant writer. But then the screenplay was written by Graham Greene himself and Terence Rattigan. And for God's sake, what a coupling that is. Richard Attenborough, this was about, I think it was his 8th film, and he was just superb as Pinkie. He total psycho, but it was such a brilliantly controlled performance from him. And William Hartnell playing Dallow it was perfect. He was absolutely perfect. What I loved was Hermione Baddeley as Ida, and she was basically the detective in this. Although she was, her job was working with the clowns and singing, what have you, on the pier, the entertainment on the pier, but she took an awful lot, and she was a very, very, very clever lady in this, and stuck to her guns when the police didn't. And of course, his girlfriend, superb. And the thing is, what you've got to remember is this isn't really so much about gangsters. The main part of this is a love story. It's a love story. She's in love with him, but nah, he is a complete and utter a-hole. And the murders are so brilliantly done in this, especially the one at the house. I don't know. I mean, Delia in this was superb, but then it was Joan Sterndale Bennett. What do you expect? She was brilliant, brilliant actress. I found it very, very disconcerting in places because there was so much about this, because this was literally post World War II, and it wasn't just in Brighton that things like this happened. You had the gangs in London, and I don't know if they had them up north, but they had the gangs in London, the criminal gangs, and that was where the what's the name of the two brothers that both ended up in prison?
Craze, Ronnie and Reggie.
Yeah, the Craze, and also there was another gang that they were up against, and there was a lot of that went on in South London where I grew up. So I found an awful lot of it a bit on the disconcerting side, because it brought back memories of things that used to go on in my area in West Norwood. It was brilliantly done. It was brilliantly written. It's superbly directed by John Bolting, who was one of the Bolting brothers. And it is very good. It's a brilliant piece of British cinema.
But if you've never been to Brighton, it's not like Brighton at all. Not now, anyway. I mean, it's completely different to the Brighton I know.
Well, this was 1948.
Yeah.
You are talking 70 years ago, after the war. And you've got to remember, this is the year I was born.
Yeah. Gosh.
It's I would call it film noir.
Yes. And you froze then. Lee, do you want to say anything else about this film?
Yeah, I do.
Fire away.
I mean, we've done Hermione Bagley, who, strangely enough, was in Bells of St. Trinian's, what we've talked about. I agree. She was the detective in this, and I was watching this, and I was thinking, wouldn't she have made a brilliant Miss Marple or a Jessica Fletcher? The way she was hounding everybody, should have made her into something. She's, a detective. One of my favourite characters is Pinkie's, is it lawyer, solicitor, whatever you want to call him, the alcoholic. Really well played. I can't remember the actor's name, but his characterization of that was just superb. Brilliant character. I think it is a wonderful movie. I can understand where Beef Dad coming from, feeling a bit disconcerted with it. What?
It was Harcourt Williams played through it.
You can get an ointment. Yeah, you can get an ointment for that. But yeah, I think this era there is a lot of movies made similar to this, the Little Man thing, but this movie does it the best for me. So, you know, the actors in this are really well used, and also I think it was her first movie. I'm trying to remember the name. Carol Marsh. I think this was her first movie. Falling in love with Pinkie. She was so well played, that character. That's all I want to say about this. I just loved it.
Stephen Price, have you got
we
any
should do more.
moments?
We should do more movies like this.
You will choose them then.
Oh no!
We could do more movies like this. Just pick them. Let's go to Stephen Price. You've had a lot of say, Lee.
I can't believe any of you haven't seen William Hartnell in Hell Drivers.
Nope.
No? Patrick Magoon was in it?
None of us have seen him in Hell Drivers.
Stanley Baker.
Wait, I was just going to say Stanley Baker.
Yeah.
No, I've never seen it.
No one's seen it here.
Brilliant. Hartnell is brilliant in it.
And what about this film? What are your favourite moments?
Favourite moments, as you said, the part on the staircase where he falls down and you can see the shadow and what have you. That was my favourite moment of the movie.
Oh, I'm glad you've been paying attention, Stephen.
What?
Sitting there with your camera off.
So Beef Dad actually said that he had seen him in Hell Drivers.
He hasn't seen it.
He has too. He's not invisible, Alad. He's not an invisible dude.
May I add?
No,
I've also seen Hell Drivers, but I just don't like to boast.
Oh, all right. Well, anyway, I liked William Hartnell. I love William Hartnell. Go William Hartnell.
So, what your favourite moments, Susan?
He was a bad MF in this one.
Alex isn't looking too convinced.
Mhm.
Alex, didn't you like William Hartnell in it?
Yeah, I mean, he actually is a good actor, and you can see that in the very serious parts of his Doctor Who era. But, I mean, there was a few parts that I liked in this movie, but generally speaking, no. And it was just, the music was so loud, too. I was like, what the heck? Are they trying to scare people with the music? Pinkie was okay. I liked the waitress, and I liked the blonde woman, and I liked William Hartnell. But the rest of it, I was like, I could take it or leave it. I'd rather be watching Hoskins or David Suchet or somebody else, generally speaking. But it's a more modern era. It's it's more from 20 or 30 years ago than 70 years ago. But if they were trying to set up the gangster, ideal. They did a decent job. I mean, I'd rather be watching Cagney or something else, but it wasn't a bad attempt. It just the music was annoying me too. I'm sorry to say.
Okay, let me say my favorite bits. Okay, my favorite bits were when you got to see the broken relationship between the Attenborough and the female lead. I was just like, wow. I mean, he was totally manipulating her all over the place. He was one sick dude in terms of how he was treating her, and like a little sadistic in every aspect of his life. It wasn't a love story. It was a terrible story of
no, but she was in love with him. She was in love with him. He wasn't in love with her. No.
So because he manipulated her, it's not really love. It's sort of like an
He's
abusive story.
He's using her.
That's what they were trying to get at. That's what the filmmaker was trying to get at.
Yeah.
He was trying to get at how you think people in the 40s must have had a different whole reality coming out of World War II, coming off that rationing and stuff.
Wow.
And here's the black market and the gangs of even Brighton, even beautiful beach, gorgeous Brighton was full of slime and wretchedness and villainy. I just quoted Star Wars out of but it was sort of like that. It was like totally anyway. And I really love William Hartnell as Doctor Who. I mean, for obvious reasons.
Can I ask Susan?
He looked dang scary.
No, Susan's all heated up. Susan's firing the whole cylinder.
I just wanted to ask Susan a question.
Go ahead.
Did you like it the way Hartnell put Attenborough on his ass?
Yeah.
Whack.
Oh, you totally did.
Yeah. I mean, the other problem too is, was it really a love story or was it more infatuation? And of course, yes, but the other issue is too, if it's a movie that's 70 years old, and remember they're short on time as well. This isn't the typical gangster movie of nowadays where it's 2 or 4 hours long. Back in those days, yeah, it was more, guy related, and I think that he probably just thought she was, cute and pretty as opposed to being a real woman and as opposed to being, strong. And of course, there's also the question of in 2018, there's a lot of evolution now. Whereas opposed to back then, there's not going to be a lot of evolution.
The women in Britain were used to being in the factories, fighting the war on their own turf, and these were not wimpy women. These were women who deserved respect, and so that's why it's so.
Yeah, they kept the country running while the men were out fighting.
No, but I'm not. That's not what I'm saying at all. And of course, I understand that, and that's real feminism. What I'm saying is, you could tell from how, unfortunately, the female lead acted. She's kind of mousy and kind of not too not fierce in most cases.
Well,
so
she's
I
only
don't
a little
know.
girl.
Right, I don't know how much of that was the director or the story or whatever.
But that's the character. She's only a little girl.
Yeah.
That's the character.
Yeah.
Right. So it might have been a weak character. Plus, this Pinkie guy was not a good guy.
No.
So
he was.
Well, yeah.
But that's the whole point. He's a gangster. He's not meant to be.
Right. Exactly.
Most gangsters aren't super genteel and intellectual.
No, but
you're not meant to think
they're
he's
not
a good
supposed
guy.
to be genteel and intellectual. What's that?
You're not meant to think he's a good guy.
Yeah. So I mean that's another thing. Is that I don't know why this waitress didn't realize that or her or whatever, I forgot her name. I don't know why she didn't realize that he was a creepy and using her and all that. Whereas now
it was mostly first love.
Well, then that could be a crush or an infatuation. That might not be real love either.
Yeah, but some people like a bad boy.
Yeah, that's the other issue too. That if you're one of these people that you like aggressive people or you like mean people.
That's called masochism, and it's part of the whole thing with gangsters is. It's like they play on the anyway. It ain't really a love story. It's more a story of the control of the whole of their whole environment. I mean, even the cops were under his thumb.
Okay, but Pinkie did commit suicide in the movie, so I mean he wasn't that great a guy. Plus, even in other gangster movies, they've shown, especially if you watch all the way through, that they divorce these guys and other things. So, Aled has a point about the fact that, if you're dating and married to a gangster, you're probably not on good intellectual footing anyway. Never mind, marrying and trying to have children with such a selfish, greedy person anyway.
Let's go to Beef Dad because he's dying to speak. So everybody, be quiet.
The one thing that everybody is missing is they get married.
Well, do they? No.
Yeah.
No.
And the reason they get married is because at that time, a wife could not give evidence against her husband.
Right. Yeah.
And that is what that was all about.
Yeah.
She was in love with him, but he was manipulating her because he did not want her to be able to give evidence against him.
Yeah, because she kept saying, "I never forget a face. I never forget a face."
Me. What I really, the two bits that I really enjoyed were actually the murder in the house. That was brilliantly done and very cleverly directed, I thought. Very, very cleverly directed. But you expect that from the Bolting brothers, or one of the Bolting brothers. And the other scene was the one underneath the pier at Brighton, where he was trying to convince her to go into a suicide pact, where she would die first, and then he would leave her, basically. But his plan was not to suicide at all. Brilliantly done, brilliantly directed, incredible photography under there. Absolutely incredible photography. And Carol Marsh's performance underneath the pier at Brighton was just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. She evokes all the emotions in you and really gets you involved, which is what a really good actress can do.
And with that, we're going to go into final say and score. Let's go to Stephen Price.
As I meeting and all, I don't know. Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. The photography, like Beef Dad said, was brilliant. I give it a 8 out of 10.
Oh, not bad. Let's go to Alex and Susan. Final say and score.
The cast was good. Didn't really like the story. The photography was good, and the stunts were good. Like I said, as far as the real, I'd rather be watching other gangster movies by Scorsese or films with gangsters like Bob Hoskins and things like this. But like I said, if this was the beginning or mostly the beginning, it's not terrible. But like I said, the tone and the music was off for me. It does have a good cast. It does have great cinematography. But like I said, there's probably better movies. So I'd give this probably, only because of the cast and the photography, I'd give it a 7.
Wow. All right. Well, I have seen. I saw the remake of it, but I like this movie a lot. I thought that it was really dark, really cool, like gangsta cool. I thought it had a lot of cool attitude but you know, for like the only the third William Hartnell movie that I've seen, I saw like the Immortal Brigade, and I saw The Mouse That Roared, and so I've seen him in a serious and I've seen him in a comedy, and this one he is, you know, he's dark and scary, and it's just outrageously good. big ups to William Hartnell. I'll give it a 10 for William Hartnell's performance. And, yeah, of course, David Attenborough and the rest of the cast did great. But, William Hartnell gets a 10.
I love Alex's expression when you said 10. You've got to watch that back. Let's go to Beef Dad.
Direction, brilliant. Writing, superb. Cinematography, absolutely amazing. The performances were just brilliant. Attenborough is amazing. He really is amazing. And of course, William Hartnell. Anything with William Hartnell in it gets lost. And yeah, Stephen, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. That film you've been going on and on about was 10 years after this. And it was William Hartnell, brilliant actor, superbly done. But the girl that played Rose, she did it brilliantly, because she was the one who pulled all the emotions out of everybody, and she did it so well. It gets a 10.
And let's go to the scores in Hull. What's Hull going to give it, Lee?
Well, before I do, I'd just like to point out, Susan, it's Richard Attenborough, not David. That's his younger brother.
Yeah, David Attenborough doesn't do these films.
No. These films of this era always makes me smile as well, because you only have two types of language spoken in these films: proper English and commoners London, which it always makes me puts a little smile on my face every time you see these. Yeah, it's really well directed, well produced, produced by the other Bolton brother as well. The acting in this is awesome. It's told so well, shot so well. Hartnell and Attenborough just work so well together. It's a classic.
What are you going to give it?
I gave it a 10. It's a classic.
Oh, you glitched out then. A 10. Oh, so we've got 2 10s. No, 3 10s. What did you give it? You gave it a 10, didn't you, Susan? Yeah, we've got 3 10s. I'm going to give it... Do you know what? Go on, I'll give it a 10. I might as well. I've seen it twice, so that's got to mean something. I've enjoyed it both times. Richard Attenborough just absolutely steals the show for me. He's just so phenomenally brilliant in it. Well, like he is in everything. And William Hartnell, well, that's being a Doctor Who fan, that's like the icing on the cake, William Hartnell being in it. So yeah, it's going to get a 10. It's an all-round good film, and it's on telly quite a bit actually. It's usually on one of the channels here in the UK. So yeah, if you've never seen it before, for the one person watching, and you're living in the UK, definitely look out for it on telly. But I'd like to thank everybody here for joining me. I'd like to thank you for watching. Tell us below what you think of Brighton Rock, either this version or the remake. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter and whatever else there is these days. Instagram, if we've got one of them, I don't know. And of course, hit that subscribe button for more crazy videos like this, because you want to see more of Alex, don't you? That's what everybody's here for, really. We're all here to see Alex. So, yes, hit that subscribe button. Look after yourself. Take care. And we'll see you next time.